In the early stages of learning to play the guitar, every guitarist learns to play the 5 open major chords. They are A major, E major, C major, G major, and D major. Learning to play these chords allows you to play lots of songs and develops important skills that serve as a foundation for future learning. Although learning these open chords is important, there are only 5 of the 12 major chords which can be played. In this first lesson on CAGED chords, I'm going to show you how to transform your 5 open major chords into movable chords, which will allow you to play all of the possible major chords on your guitar. Now before we do that, let me explain what a movable chord is. A movable chord is a chord shape on the guitar that can be moved up or down the fretboard to give you different chords of the same type or quality. Major chords, for example. It's possible you may have used movable chords already without even realizing it, namely power chords. Many riffs and songs are played by shifting power chords up or down the fretboard, and these are very often movable chords. However, this doesn't quite work the same way with open chords. If you try sliding your fingers up the fretboard with the open E major, you end up with a bunch of weird sounding chords, which may sound okay, but are certainly not major chords. The reason this doesn't quite work is because we only moved some of the notes of our original E major chord, specifically the ones our fingers were holding down. We forgot about the open strings. In order to move a chord without changing its quality, all of the notes of the original chord have to move the same number of frets. To move all the notes of an open E major chord together, it's useful to see all the notes that are being played as one pattern, like this. If you like to think about the fret numbers, then try thinking about the open strings as being fret number 0. Before we can move this group of notes, we'll need to be able to hold them down using our fingers. To do this, we rearrange the fingers so that the first finger, the index finger, is positioned behind the nut, and the remaining fingers will hold down everything else. The second finger will be on string 3, fret number 1. The third finger will be on the 5th string, fret number 2. And the 4th finger will be on string number 4, fret number 2. This may seem kind of awkward and weird right now, but it will become important in a moment. Now, when one finger holds down multiple strings at once, we call this barring. If you have difficulty with barring multiple strings, I made another video which teaches the barring technique that I use and teach to my students. You'll find a link to this lesson in the top right corner of this video and in the description below. Now that all the notes of our chord can be held down using your fingers, we can move the entire pattern up at once and keep the major sound. Moving the open E major chord up 1 fret gives us the F major chord. And here's the F major being used in a more musical situation. For now, don't worry about why this is F major. However, I will be covering this in a future video. Now that we have a movable chord, we can simply move F major up another fret to give us F sharp or G flat major. Now here is a musical example using F sharp major. Let's now take a look at turning another of our open major chords into a movable chord. This time, we'll start with the open A major chord. Once again, we need to reposition the fingers so that the first finger sits behind the nut or on the 0 fret. This means that the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers will each be positioned on the 2nd fret. We can now move the chord up 1 fret, giving us an A sharp or B flat major chord. And once again, here is a more musical situation using the B flat major chord. As we did with the open E major shape, we can move this chord up an additional fret, and this gives us B major. And here is B major used in a chord progression. We'll now move on to the open C major chord. As we've done with the previous 2 chords, we'll rearrange the fingers so that the first finger can sit behind the nut. This means that the 2nd finger will be on the 2nd string, fret number 1, the 3rd finger will be on the 4th string on fret number 2, and the 4th finger will be on string number 5, fret number 3. And now by moving this chord shape up 1 fret, we get the C sharp or D flat major chord. And here is C sharp used in a progression. For the next chord, we're going to start from the open D major chord. We'll once again rearrange our fingers so that the first finger can sit behind the nut. This chord shape is a little bit more difficult because of the stretch that's required. We'll have the 2nd finger on string number 3, fret number 2, the 3rd finger on string number 1, fret number 2, and the 4th finger on string 2, fret number 3. And by moving this chord shape up a single fret, we get D sharp or E flat major. And here is E flat major being used in a chord progression. Finally, let's take a look at the open G major chord. We'll once again rearrange the fingers so that the first finger can sit behind the nut. The 2nd finger will be on the 5th string on fret number 2, the 3rd finger on the 6th string, fret number 3, and the 4th finger will be on string number 1, fret number 3. By moving this pattern up, we get the G sharp or A flat major chord. And here is A flat being used in a progression. So to recap, by converting our 5 open major chords into movable chords, we were able to play all of the 12 major chords on the guitar. C major, F major, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, and G. Take your time learning to play each of these chords. Make sure you understand how we go from the open chords to the movable chords, and ensure that as you play them, each string rings out. I recommend learning these movable chord shapes in the order that they were presented in this lesson. So start with the open E shape, then move on to the A shape, followed by C, then D, finishing up with G. Now in the next lesson in this series, we're going to look at why these chords are named the way they are, and we're going to look at how these movable chord shapes may be used to play chords anywhere across the fretboard. To help you prepare for that video, I recommend working on learning the notes of your fretboard. I've specifically created a course designed to help you learn all of the notes on your fretboard and memorize them once and for all. You can find a link with more details about the course in the description below. That's all for now. If you have any thoughts or questions, please post them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.